The time now, I think already 19 past 1, okay, in Bali. So I think we have to proceed, right? So we already late about 5 minutes, then we try to cover up later on. Okay, welcome to the afternoon session, Breakout 2 of the AQoL 2023 Bali. We have 8 papers to be presented by their respective author and co-author. Alright, so I'm Dr. Ahmad Rizwan, your chairperson for this session. And my duty is to ensure that the program will run smoothly and finish on time. It means before the tea break. Right? So allow me to brief some of the rules that all presenters and audience to abide. Firstly, each presenter is given 10 minutes to present the paper. His or her co-author, which is highly recommended, may also participate, but within the stipulated time, maybe within the 10 minutes. I will give a reminder when the 7 minutes are up, and will instruct to conclude the presentation 1 minute before the time. Q&A follows immediately after that, after each paper presented, and limited to 5 minutes only. Please introduce yourself and name with affiliation before questioning. Thank you. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our first presenter today, SR Dr. Siti Nadia Muhammad Ali, to present the paper.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon to all floor members. I am Siti Nadia binti Muhammad Ali from UITM Sri Iskandar Perak. Will be presenting the paper for today with my partner Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Aziz Ghanim from Egypt. And the title of this paper is Energizing Community Empowerment and Building the Holistic Framework of Wakaf, Zakat and Infaq Funded Agricultural MOS Projects. Okay, why we chose this project? Why we chose these papers? This title of these papers? Before I start, I would like to introduce or to let Sheikh Ghanim to start the presentation, to intro what is the paper all about. Sheikh, can you start now? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Nadia Muhammad Ali, for the introduction. I would like to continue this research paper presentation, focusing on the introduction of Wakaf funds, Zakat funds, and the Infaq funds for the development of mosque projects, particularly those related to agriculture project. 2. Cash Wakaf and Wakaf property involve giving assets like money or property for specific causes. Zakat is an obligatory wealth redistribution system where Muslims give portion of their wealth to help the less fortunate. Infaq, on the other hand, is voluntary charity, allowing individuals to give freely to various causes. These parts collectively contribute to supporting charitable and religious activities within Islamic communities. 3. In this research, we are focusing on how to connect Wakaf, Zakat, and the Infaq funds to give more attention to agriculture projects under mosque management. 4. In Malaysia, mosques are typically not meant to generate income or profit. However, due to economics reasons, mosques cannot really rely on donation with the collection of funds. Mosque management should consider how to effectively manage and expend those funds to generate additional income for future mosque undertaking. 5, we also notice that the expense for bills such as water and electricity will have an impact on the overall mosque's expenses. 6, with this research, inshallah, the profit generated from these mosque projects could cover the mosque's expenses. 7, I pass the presentation to Dr. Nadia to continue, and thank you for everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. That is Sheikh Ghanim from Egypt. Okay, from the introduction by the Sheikh, we noticed that in Islam, we have 3 fundamental Islamic philanthropy. They are called Wakaf Fund, Zakat Fund, and also Infaq Fund. Okay, what is the differences between them? Wakaf Fund is a perpetual donation proposed to the property Maria. If you want to build a property, you have to use Wakaf Fund. Collect the fund from the term of Wakaf. Wakaf is meant perpetual. Zakat Fund is fund for the needy. In Islam, we have 8 categories of needy that will be funded by Zakat Fund, and not the others outside the Zakat can be utilized the money. Only Asnaf or Zakat recipient that has been tainted by the Quran. And the third one is Infaq Fund. Any sadaqah, any donation that is not in terms of wakaf or zakat, we call it an Infaq Fund. Infaq Fund, inshallah, it is for Allah. Okay? And then, what is the statement of the problem if they research? Okay, we notice that the mosques around the world, especially in Malaysia, we use electricity, we use water to operate our mosques. But then, where it comes the fund from? We always take the donation from other people's, but then how the mosques manage their fund to fund it themselves to operate their bills. So with this research, we are focusing to use Wakaf Fund, Zakat Fund, and Infaq Fund to develop a framework that requires a mosque to operate their own funding using agriculture to operate their mosque management. Okay, so the objective is to gain a deeper understanding of the actual experience of mosque managers who actively engage in this initiative. By exploring their perspective as well as the challenges and opportunities they encounter. So, as I mentioned before, the aim of these papers is to form or to develop a conceptual framework, a final framework on how the community of mosques manage their fund in order to manage mosque operations. Example for the bills of electric and water supply. Okay, in literature, we notice that Zakat and Wakaf for agriculture development has been introduced in Bangladesh. And also, Wakaf and Zakat funded has been used the benefits of Asnaf, improve the food security of households. And also, the strengthening the roles of Infaq, Wakaf and Zakat are excellent alternative philanthropic funds to fill the USD 2.5 trillion annual average global SDG investment gap. That's mean Wakaf, Zakat and Infaq has been recognized by the United Nations as one of the funding that will contribute to the operation of the mosque or operation of the SDG, Social Development Goal. Okay, this is the conceptual framework. How are we develop the concept framework? Of course, from the literature themselves, and also add up with the theory, and also with the thinking of the researcher. How they are going to narrative this research. This is my conceptual, our concept framework. I'm using cash, wakaf, and zakat fund as a cash capital. Okay, and then funding the agriculture project. Why agriculture? Maybe you ask me, why agriculture? Why not others project? Because agriculture is similar to the mosque area. Okay, examples. You can imagine, with the mosque building, the surrounding area of the mosque, they have a lot of area to be developed by the agriculture products. That's why we suggest to use the empty area around the mosque to develop the agriculture products. So that's why we focus on agriculture only, because they have their own land to grow that.
You have 2 more minutes, please. 2 more minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. I think it's 20 minutes. Okay, methodology of the research. We are using qualitative research, and we interview the mosque managers to know how his experience doing this management of the most using agriculture projects. Okay, and then these the teams or quotes that we have been organized, and we finalized the team, 12 team. What is the most important in this is the skill of expertise of the managers of the most. That means managers of the most has be party or people that know how to manage the income or profit of the most. Okay? This is the conclusive structure of agriculture most. Projects financed through wakaf, crowdfunding, zakat, infak, and fund. Okay, if you can see from the first roof, SIRC. SIRC is State Islamic Religious Councils. Okay, it is the Islamic Religious Councils in Malaysia that has approved the wakaf and zakat donation before we were to collect from the public. We have to get the approval from the SIRC. That's the first proof. Okay, and the zakat funds allocated for incentivizing asnaf. Why the word incentivizing asnaf? Because we want the asnaf, the needy in the zakat recipients, work at the agriculture mosque projects. That's why we're using zakat fund to pay them the salary that they can work with the mosque management. Okay, and then the mosque management themselves, with the wakaf land or the land area they have, they can develop using the agriculture product and the funding from the cash wakaf, wakaf and also zakat fund they have collected before. Okay, and then at the same time, collection of infak donation through the mosque fund box. We notice that every Muslim, every Friday, we go to the Jumaat prayer, the Friday prayer, and we put the donation, the infak in the what we call the box. The money is we call as an infak box, infak fund can use to manage the agriculture projects by the most manager. And then the local authority. Local authority we call in Malaysia is Majlis Daerah, Majlis Permandaran, Dewan Menderaya. That means the party that can let their land propose new site for agriculture projects within their locality area. That's why the local authority involvement, collaboration in this project is very, very important, because if the mosque use their own land only, it's not enough. So they can find new land under the local authority suggestion.
Okay, Siti Nadia, please conclude.
Okay, the conclusion is the project is very important for the mosque to get their income, and they cannot depend on people to give donation only. Work, work, and work to get their own money. That's all from me. Siti Nadia Muhammad Ali.
Okay, thank you very much, Siti Nadia, for an outstanding and interesting presentation. Of course, the time is the constraint. Okay, now I would like to open to the floor, question and answer. Anybody? Anyone?
Maria, maybe?
Anyone? Oh, okay, if none, I've got one short one. Maybe related to the wakaf. The wakaf, you have three types. Most of the three related to the topic is the type of crops, for example, on agriculture. Do you have specifically the type of crops that is recommended to be developed or something like that? Whether it's for own consumption of the community or is it for the sale to marketing? If marketing, maybe there is another thing you have to consider, like the storage in terms of marketing and so on. So can you please elaborate on the agricultural wakaf? I mean the type of crop.
Thank you, from the interview we noticed that the types of vegetables that has been developed or grown by the mosque is like we call this kacang panjang, beli, bayam, or in Malays. They have their own daily vegetables used by the community. And of course, the community empowerment is the vegetable is used to sell within the community area, because they have not many land or not many plants to grow, so that they use only what they have to sell and get income from the sales of the vegetables. And I think if the mosque has more capital and more land to develop, inshallah, the supply of the vegetables can be wider from the coverage area of the community.
Question? Any question? I think I got another question, but it's okay. I'll save for later. because we want to cover the time we've been sort of wasted. Okay, thank you very much, Siti Nadia.
Thank you for.
Okay, next I would like to invite Miss Marcel Show. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. So the title of the paper is Warehouse Automation Implementation Environment. I mean that's on the warehouse automation. Case of Central Warehouse Management in Mali, West Africa. Okay. Please, Miss Marshall. No, Marisol.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. So, this research has conducted in West Africa. So, since I am currently connected with United Nations as supply chain officer, so I decided to conduct a research in West Africa during my entire service in the United Nations. So now we have the title Warehouse Automation Implementation Environment. This is a case of Central Warehouse Management in Mali, West Africa. So now I will give the floor to my co-presenter, Mr. Steve Assessor.
To the doctors, professors, and students around the world, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Can you hear me? Thank you. Today we're going to present our research paper entitled Warehouse Automation Implementation Environment, the case of Central Warehouse Management in Mali, West Africa. And I am also presenting the authors of this research together with Ms. Maricel Ko, Associate Professor Dr. Rohana Sham, Professor Dr. Noranini Ahmad, and yours truly, Steve Assessor. Next slide, please. This is the table of contents of our presentation, and the more substantive part are at the right side. Next slide, please. On automation environment, an automated environment basically refers to a business environment where the processes, operations, accounting, and even decisions are carried out by using computer systems. They are also known as information system or IS, or information technology or IT systems. It is also the use of technology to perform tasks without human intervention, and it has revolutionized the way we live and work. It has led to increased efficiency, improved productivity, and cost savings for businesses. However, the impact of automation on the environment is a growing concern. And one of the biggest impact of automation is on the environment, and that is the increase in energy consumption. But on the other hand, this automation has an impact on the following as well. In business organization, Khan et al. 2022 said, most businesses leaders recognize that warehouse automation is critical to achieving this goal as it can improve existing warehouse capabilities and enable new fulfillment nodes. On implementation, the implementation of warehouse automation has proven to be an effective way to increase productivity and inventory accuracy. On the environment, to improve employee and organizational capacity and benefit society and people through technology to improve the automation environment. On importance, Dixit et al. On 2023 said, automation and technologies must incredibly be efficient, adaptable, scalable, and fault-tolerant. As well as AQoL in 2022 said, automating processes within a warehouse is vital to ensuring smooth and efficient operation. I will hand over the rest of the presentation to Ms. Maricel Ko. Thank you, Ms. Maricel.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Steve Assessor. So now let's move on to the research objective of our study. So the research objective of this study is to investigate the barriers that trigger the success factor of warehouse automation implementation environment. So it's also to examine the productivity, familiarity, safety, accuracy, and cost that influence the warehouse automation environment. So to offer a unique and modern warehouse automation environment model as a solution for complete implementation and warehouse automation operations. So these are the literature review of our study. If you can see, the automation environment basically refers to a business environment where the process, operations, accounting, and even decisions are carried out by using computer systems. So the productivity to accomplish more, reach, and goals faster, we can smarter, not complexly, and achieve more in less time. And then the accuracy, determining a measurement reliability, it measures the level of closeness between an estimated value and the actual value, and it can be expressed as a percentage and a ratio. On the safety, always take precaution and measures. Being aware of our surrounding and potential hazards can reduce the risk of and harm and ensure our safety. And the last one is the cost. Expenses associated with training employees on the new technology and potential downtime during the implementation. And the last one is the familiarity. An automated environment basically refers to a business environment where the process, operations, accounting, and even decision are carried out by using computer system. So, these are the methodology of this study. So, we investigate, and then we have a 100 warehouse manager respondents, and this is a quantitative approach. And we use the online survey via Microsoft Forms. And we have a data collection. This is a self-administered questionnaire. And for us to explore more, we use 4 kinds of software in this study. So we use Smart PLS for the calculation of our research, and then we use the Power BI software for the primary analysis. We use the Microsoft Form Survey for the online survey questionnaire, and we use the Wondershare EduMax software for the framework. So let's move on the geographical or demographic profile of the respondents. You can see I have 7 geographical location survey in Mali, West Africa. We have Bamako, Mali, we have Mopti, and then we have Tessalit, and then we have Kidal, and also Timbuktu. So, and the last one is the Minaka. And then if you can see the nationality, the highest respondents is from other countries, which is 37%. The lowest one is from Malian, which is the local country that I surveyed. Based on the gender, the highest is the male, which is 57%, and the lowest one is the volunteer. According to the age, the highest one is 51 to 60 years old with 81%, and the lowest one is 61 to 65 years old with 8%. Based on the experience, the highest is 10 to 15 years, and the lowest one is 0 to 5 years. Based on the rank, field service is the highest ranking with 84 warehouse managers. In the education, the highest one is the bachelor's degree, and the lowest one is the master's degree.
You have 2 more minutes.
Okay, the findings, you can see here the demographic data results, and also on the last one, you can see, let me go back to the discussions. So here, on the discussions, a warehouse automation environment assessment is critical since it infers the demand for the warehouse automation, accuracy, reliability. The warehouse implementation has consistent findings, like the findings before of the researchers. And then this one, the implication of the contribution and the theoretical contribution of this study, this is very competitive. The organizational implication, we develop new policies and procedures. On the managerial implications to practice, there is an improvement and innovation. This study, we address 3 main factors: productivity, safety, and cost. A risk assessment should be included in the future research to understand the situation better. According to my rating results obtained from the cost perspective of this study can create awareness for the organization. So we propose a mitigation action plan on the critical risk to sustain from incurring costs, safety, and productivity losses due to unforeseen risks. For you to understand well, let me show you the video of our study.
How long is the video?
Also in Bali, West Africa. This is a transition from manual to automation. So this is the automation environment. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Marshall and Mr. Steve for
Thank you.
as co-author. Okay, I think the video has taken some time, so we still just now we managed to save some time. So okay, anyhow, anybody got question to ask? 2 minutes. No.
Any questions?
What is the current implementation of warehouse automations at your place?
The current implementation now is automated. So, but we are still on the dry run. So, because we just implemented just recently. If you can see the video, you can find that those national staff, they are doing the manual inspection of all the assets we have. And then we have a transition because I have a proposed automation that I also did recently. I presented in the ASIP conference. So I am the one who made the proposal for our organization to have an implementation of the automation of our warehouse. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. I think we have to proceed. Okay, the next presentation will be Dr. Norashida Osman. Okay, please.
Is palm oil export and environmental pollution in
Evidence from
ARDL approach.
Right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Ridwan, all my colleagues here. My name is Dr. Norashida Osman. And also my partner here, Dr. Zinet from Tripoli. We will be presenting our research with the title of Palm Oil Export and Environmental Pollution in Malaysia with the evidence from ARDL approach. So this is the method, right? right?
Okay, let's start with the palm oil situations.
Okay, we know that palm oil is the most
exported
traded,
and traded
exported and traded
oil and fats, and
oil and
among
fats,
the oil
and
and
among
fats,
the oil
we
and
can see
fats,
that
we can
the
see that
rest-
the rest. So yeah.
For example, we
For
have
example, we
the
have
competitor of palm
the
oil, which is
competitor of palm oil, which is corn
olive
oil,
oil,
olive
coconut
oil,
oil, rapeseed, and
coconut
so on.
oil,
We have
rapeseed, and so on. We have
17
17 types of oils and fats that has been
and
produced
traded all over
and
the
traded
world.
all
And
over the
palm oil
world.
is among the
And palm oil
largest
is among the
what we call production or producer.
production or
Right?
producer.
And Malaysia
Right?
and
And
also
Malaysia
Indonesia
and also
cover
Indonesia
almost
cover
80% of palm oil
80%
export.
of palm oil
And
export.
we can see
And
that why
we can see that
the
why
demand of palm oil is
the
getting
demand of
increased
palm oil
because
is
they
getting
can offer
increased
a very
because they can
cheaper
offer a very cheaper
price. Why
price.
they can offer a
Why
cheaper
they
price?
can offer a
Because
cheaper
we can
price?
see that in terms
Because
of
we can see that in
efficiency,
terms of
here
efficiency,
is the
here is the average yield per hectares of palm oil
per hectare. We
per
can see that
hectare.
palm
We
oil
can
can
see that
produce
palm oil
10
can
times
produce
higher as
10 times
compared to
higher
the
as
soybean oil.
compared to the
So
soybean
because of
oil.
their efficiency,
So because of their
so
efficiency,
that's why the price of palm oil is much cheaper as compared to other vegetable oils. Yeah. And then, okay, next we look at the contributions of palm oil industry in Malaysia specifically. We can see that in this figure shows that palm oil is among the largest export contributor to the Malaysia after electric and electronic product, a petroleum product, and palm oil is the third largest contributor to the Malaysian's economy, and that's why palm oil and you can see from this figure shows that Malaysian palm oil products that are being exported to over more than 100 countries, and among them, India and China is among the largest, followed by European Union, Turkey, Kenya, and so on and so forth. Right? Okay, next. Sorry. Okay, here this figure shows why does palm oil are getting more in terms of demand. You can see that because of the varieties of the product. Palm oil is not only we can use for the cooking oil only, but they can also produce high-end products such as cosmetic, shampoos, what we call others, biodiesel. Okay, through various of what we call various of process, they can produce multiples of more than 100 products can be produced by the palm oil. It depends whether the product is being exported in the form of oil, or in the form of biodiesel, or in the form of non-food product. For example, here in Malaysia, almost more than 80% of the palm oil product are being exported in the food types of products, in the form of food product. And then 20%, the rest, which is 13%, is being exported as the biofuel. And then 7% as being exported as oleochemical products such as cosmetic. So most of us are not aware that actually the cosmetic that we are using is actually produced by using the palm oil. We call it as oleochemical. Alright? So what are the issues? Okay, we know that palm oil has become the most widely used vegetable oil because of the economical, because we know that high efficiency plus with the versatile of the oil. And then but in terms of the view of other countries such as European Unions, they portray the palm oil negatively because they say that productions of palm oil will cause higher global emissions. Look at the picture. Of course, if you look at this picture, if you Google palm oil in your Google account, you can see this picture. So if I am the consumer, I might be not buying any of palm oil product because they are using the sentiments of orangutan. See, very what we call sentimental picture. So this is how their NGOs are banning. They are not banning directly, but they are using the sentiments of the consumer to avoid or to ban the palm oil product. Any product that have a palm oil. So as a consumer, if I'm looking at this picture, I might not buying any of palm oil product. So these are the things that I think for Malaysia and Indonesia are facing now. Right, how we want to convince them that the palm oil productions is actually not what we call affect the environments, right? Because they say that deforestation threatens the biodiversity and cause greenhouse gas emissions. Therefore, the EU also revised their policy to phase out the palm oil by 2030. So just imagine by 2030, they not import the product of palm oil from Malaysia and Indonesia. So what happened to the industry in Malaysia and Indonesia? Right, so thus, the research question of this study, what are the impact actually of the palm oil export on the environmental degradations? Alright, and then in terms of research objective here, we would like to identify what are the long run effect of palm oil export on environmental degradations in Malaysia. Okay, so these are the 2 more minutes. Okay, I think I will not touch this literature review part. Just want to show you that how we extract the what we call the proxy of the environmental degradation. Most of the study use carbon dioxide. So this study we use a methane, agriculture methane emissions to proxy environmental degradation because according to MAR, they said that AME, which is methane, is 80 times potent more effect to the environment as compared to the carbon dioxide. So here are the research method or the model that we are using. So here is the what we call the variable, which is how does this palm oil export can affect the environmental degradations by using a time series data or secondary data. Okay, so by having this data to the finding here, we're having also the control variable, which we call as the foreign direct investment and also the income as a control variable. But our aims is to look at what are the impact of palm oil export towards the environmental degradations. And we can see that from this result, it shows that actually the palm oil export does affect the environmental degradation for the case of Malaysia. It's just that in terms of the coefficient is a bit small, but it also affect the environmental degradations. And I think the rest I will pass to my partner, Dr. Zinat.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Assalamu alaikum. Going to diagnostic and stability test. We have done some diagnostic and stability tests to ensure that our model is unbiased. Some tests has been done, which is serial correlation, heat viscosity, and stability. Custom test stability are conducted to robust tests. We found from those tests that the results indicate that the model is unbiased and stable. The figure shows that we have used as we see, the blue line is B1, the boundary test, which is at level of 5% level of significance, which is indicate that our model is unbiased and stable. So going to the discussion, we see that the effect of palm oil export towards agricultural methane emission was significant at 10 level of significance, and that shows that the increase of 1% increase in palm oil export leads to 0.03% increase in agricultural methane emission in the long run. So promoting the palm oil plantation is clearly contribute to climate change, but we could turn to renewable energy such as biodiesel, which has been done before by Indonesia, which is planned to do that in future, I think in 2025. So Malaysia should follow that and use it as renewable energy. The industry players should integrate their resources and expand their investment into the high value added downstream products such as high value food application, biodiesel, pharmaceutical, and nutricals. So going to conclusion, we conclude that Malaysia should control methane emissions in the palm oil industry, try to deal with pollution problems. How they should do that? By seeking more advanced technology to turn methane generated in palm oil production into a biofuel. Also consider carbon pricing mechanism that include exported products and carbon footprint that would incentivize companies to reduce emissions. Also, the environmental impact assessment mandatory for exporting industries to mitigate potential environmental impacts throughout their supply chain. Uh, we and by that we conclude our presentation. Thank you very much for everyone for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zinet.
Okay, thank you. Already concluded, right? Okay, any question from the floor? No? Okay, thank you for the invaluable and beneficial topics. Actually, no question from the floor. So, yeah, it's good. The research highlighted about the waste, the methane. I mean, that's one of the findings. And can be treated or converted as energy sources. Okay. In fact, I myself really one of the promoting the green technology, but I'm more to solar energy. Okay. But did your group did the cost comparative studies involving this technology, especially in terms of equipment, expertise, especially because you have to pay the experts in order to convert methane to a good use. Renewable energy is very, very good, but then sometimes we say it's good, but then in terms of cost, we save energy or we create energy, but then in terms of cost to convert the methane into a good use.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for the question. Yes, that is a very good question. Actually, we do not look at that perspective yet, but from our reading and finding, we show that it is have a very huge cost, but it is only for the initial cost only. But then when you produce in the very large volumes, it can reduce the cost. But whether you like it or not, you have to move with the renewable energy, because now we can see that people will go for the non-renewable energy because it's more cheaper. That's why we go for the non-renewable energy. But then we have to look back in terms of the policy by European Union that say that they want to ban the palm oil biofuel. So we have to take the action from now. We only have 7 years more to go. So we have to start now, or either we are left behind too far from them. Yeah, this is my answer.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Wasida.
Thank you.
Okay, next I would like to welcome Ms. Sazwani Yahya. Sazwani here? Okay. The title of the paper is Assessing the Adoption of M-Commerce in... Is it okay?
Okay, hi Dr. Arif, can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm available and I can hear you.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm Shazwani. I'm going to present this paper with Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Arif Kamal, and also the rest of the co-author. We have TS Dr. Nuraini Ahmad here, and also Dr. Atirah Muhammad Tan. Dr. Arif, are you ready?
Yeah. Shall we
Okay.
start?
Okay, if you are ready, we can start now.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Ridwan, for giving me an opportunity to present my research paper in this conference. So the title of our research is Assessing the Adoption of M-Commerce in Small and Medium Enterprises in the Service Industry of Malaysia. So today, me, Dr. Muhammad Arif Kamal from Aligarh Muslim University, India, along with Shazwani Yahya, will present our research paper. Okay. So to start with, coming to the background of the study, like this paper examines the relationship between performance expectancy and the government support for mobile commerce adoption among small and medium enterprises in the service industry.
The mobile commerce or m-commerce adoption rate is remaining low in Malaysia compared with other nations such as Korea, Japan, and Singapore. Small and medium enterprises lack the ability to adapt to globalization pressure and are unlikely to succeed in the current climate. Small and medium enterprises are vulnerable to the disruptions of business activities caused by the pandemic COVID-19. And small and medium enterprises feel that m-commerce adoption is not important in their company rather than to meet their business partner requirements. Small and medium enterprises owners could not relate the adoption of technology to their company's operation. And also, the m-commerce adoption has a potential to increase and accelerate economic growth, improve the overall revenue, and reserve well-being of the people, whereas creating the employment opportunity depends on the small and medium enterprises' contribution. Hence, it has been suggested to investigate the factors that may enhance the m-commerce adoption among small and medium enterprises. Okay, next. So coming to the problem statement of our research, that is the importance of m-commerce adoption towards small and medium enterprises such as m-commerce able to help the extending market reach, increase revenue, reduce transaction cost and intermediaries, improve the service and create more productivity of staff. However, small and medium enterprises in Malaysia are still lagging behind in terms of the adoption of m-commerce technology. Thus, Malaysia will be more vulnerable to the disruptions of economy in near future if unable to grab the opportunities offered by modern m-commerce technology adoption. Okay. Coming now to the objectives of our research, we have our two main objectives. That is, first, to examine the relationship of performance expectancy and m-commerce adoption. And secondly, also to investigate the relationship between government support and m-commerce adoptions. There are a few research gaps in our study. The first one is to address that does the performance expectancy influences m-commerce adoption? And the second one is that does the government support influences m-commerce adoption? So these are the research gaps which we have identified. Now, Shazwani will take over the next slide from the literature review onwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arif. So let's proceed into the literature review. So we have conducted to many previous research related to this topic. So this is the most relevant previous researcher towards the topic. So we start with the first, which is actually performance expectancy. So from Gunawan et al. 2019 and Al-Bashrawi and Motiwala 2020. So performance expectancy actually refer to the degree to which a person believes that he will benefit in performance when using m-commerce. And then the next variable we have government support. So this is actually cited by Mosameh Mohtaramzadeh et al. 2017. So government support actually refer to the relevant action for m-commerce adoption with three different ways, such as instituting relevance law, providing specific incentive, which mostly economy and adopting IT infrastructure, and creating skilled workforce. And the last dependent variable, which is m-commerce adoptions. So based on Chopdar et al. 2018, these refer to the choice whether to accept or reject m-commerce adoption. Okay, so let's move to the research framework here. So in this research framework, there are two hypotheses. Okay, the first hypothesis actually we want to see whether there is a positive significant relationship between performance expectancy towards m-commerce adoption, and also the next hypothesis, which refer to the second variable. We want to see whether there is a positive significant relationship between government support towards the m-commerce adoption. Okay, now let's proceed to the methodology. So we have data collection using the primary data. So we are using survey questionnaire, and also the unit of analysis here, organizational level, and we have conducted a quantitative method, cross-sectional, using the self-administered online questionnaire, 7-point Likert type scales, and also the sample size for this research is 396. This is selected based on Craigie-Morgan table 1970. And also, this is the finding of this research. So this research actually established the discriminant validity based on the funnel and HTMT, heterotроid monotrait. So based on the funnel lacquer, we can see from these slides, the bold one, okay, we have actually the diagonal elements is larger compared to the off diagonal elements. So we have, for example, 0.9, 0.791 larger compared to the 0.943 and 643 and 679. And also we have the next row, we have 0.801 larger compared to the 0.740, and also the last one we have 0.796. So we can see this is acceptable, this is good, sufficiently good for this research. And then we confirm the discriminant validity with HTMT. Okay, and also we have here 0.883. So this is we can consider sufficient, good enough for this research. And also based on this research, we can see H1 and H2 was accepted. So there was a significant positive relationship between performance expectancy and also government support toward M-commerce adoption. Although there are positive significant relationship between these two variables, but we can see performance expectancy contains more influential predictor towards M-commerce adoption with a beta value 0.578. And also we can see the strongest correlation here based on HTMT is between performance expectancy and M-commerce adoption. Okay, so this study actually have found the significant relationship between performance expectancy and M-commerce adoptions, and also have been supported by Gunawan et al. 2019 and Prasari et al. 2015. So this previous study have shown a significant relationship between performance expectation and M-commerce adoption as well. And also we have for the government support, okay, these previous studies support this research, which show that there is a positive significant relationship between government support and M-commerce adoption. So we can see here, Chow and Dan 2018 indicate a significant relationship between government support and M-commerce adoption. So this is because government assistance for M-commerce, the National Strategic Plan, which embodies actual commitment, predicts that adoption will progress gradually. Okay, so now for the conclusion here, okay, I cannot see from the slides here. Okay, okay, we can see the objective of this study, which want to examine the relationship between performance expectancy and government support towards M-commerce adoption among SMEs in Malaysia. So the finding obtained from this study actually show that performance expectancy and government support are positively and significantly related to M-commerce adoption. So we can see this finding will benefit towards the academy and also will offer a greater comprehension of the M-commerce adoption among SMEs in Malaysia. And also this is, we can say, a continuing tradition of, we can say, towards the stream of the research in commercial, in retail, or in terms of the service environment. So we can say indirectly this study will have financial section to have a better function based on the driving elements towards the M-commerce adoption, and also sponsor and stakeholders, as it will provide introductory information to develop the workable, we can say, policy framework that support the retail industry as well. So, beside that,
I think it's time up.
Okay, Thank you so much, Prof.
Okay.
Ridwan.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kazwani, with Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Arif Kamal as co-author. Okay, I think we have a few minutes for question and answer. Anybody like to say anything? Not necessarily a question, it can be a recommendation or something like that. Yes? No? Okay. I have no question about this because it took my forte. It's okay. Okay, that's good. We save a few minutes. So, all right. So, we proceed. Okay, next I would like to welcome Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen, how are you? Okay. The title of the paper is Chinese Teachers' Perceptions on Implementation of CLT in College Business English Class. Okay. Okay, the stage is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chen Haowei, and I am a PhD student right now. Today it's my privilege to stand here, and today me and my partner Ms. Wu Cui is gonna give a presentation about research entitled Chinese Teachers' Perceptions on Implementation of Communicative Language Teaching in College-Based English Class. Okay, as you know, the English now is first language in the world, and in 2013, the President Xi Jinping of China has launched the Belt and Road Initiative, and which has greatly improved the international trade between China and other countries. And this also, which means we need more qualified business talent in China who possess good communicative competency. Because many international foreign trade, they see the communicative competency as the core ability of the graduates. Having a good communicative competency can greatly improve their competitiveness in the job market. And in China, the traditional English classroom is always teacher-centered. And because of the Chinese Confucius cultures, students just sit down and listen to their teachers, and they're just taking the notes. And however, in the CLT classroom, the role of the students and the teachers has changed. Students become the center of the class, and the teachers are more acting like facilitators, guides, or monitors. And their roles is mainly about providing the meaningful group activities for students, and the students they have to actively participate in the group activities to practice their target language. And the previous research has discussed the advantages of the communicative language, and many teachers have advocated the CLT in the EFL context. However, many studies also found the unfavorable perceptions of the CLT. But the very limited research on the implementation of the CLT in business English class in Chinese context. That's why we conduct this research. So next, I will pass to my partner, Ms. Wu Cui, to go on with the research objectives and the research methodology. It's your turn.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Wu Cui. It's my honor to do this presentation. Research objectives. The first research objective is to investigate the Chinese business teachers' perceptions towards implementing CLT in business English classes. The second research objective is to identify the challenges that Chinese business English teachers encountered when implementing CLT in business English classes. Please turn to next page. Next page, please. Okay. Next is the research methodology. The current study applied a quantitative research design. The participants of the current study were 9 teachers who teach business English at a private college in Chengdu, China. The researcher applied a purposive sampling method to select the participants. The quantitative data was connected through the semi-structured interview. All interviews were conducted online through Tencent meeting. To ensure the efficiency of the discussion, the interviews were conducted in Chinese and audio record upon the participants' approval, and each participant was interviewed for 20 to 30 minutes. The interviews were transcribed and translated into English by the researcher. All transcripts were shown to participants to enhance their reliability. The current study followed the semantic analysis process to analyze the quantitative data. That's all for my part. So now I will pass to Mr. Chen to continue.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Wu. I will continue. So based on the semantic analysis, we find that all the participants, they express the positive perceptions towards the communicative language teaching. They believe students' communicative competency can be greatly improved by actively participating in the group activities. And for the grammar instructions, 3 teachers, they prefer to use the implicit way to teach grammar. And the 2 teachers, they prefer to use the explicit way to teach the grammars. And 4 teachers, they prefer integrating both implicit and explicit way to teach grammars. And for the error corrections, we can see that 6 teachers, they prefer to use an implicit way to correct their students' errors. And only 2 teachers, they still prefer to use direct ways. And only 1 teacher prefer to use integration of the explicit and implicit way to correct their students' errors. And for the second research questions, the challenge is that the implementation of the CLT that teacher encountered in their classroom. We divided the challenges into 3 categories. The first category is the students-related challenges. The teacher said their students are always lack of English proficiencies. They have trouble to express themselves in English, and they also have trouble to understand their teacher's instructions in English. And the second is students always prefer for the passive learning style due to the traditional Chinese teaching method, like the grammar translation method. And third is that the students are always lack of learning motivation and confidence. They are afraid of making mistakes and afraid of speaking English before their classmates. And the second is teacher-related challenges. Some teachers express that they feel lack of knowledge and skills. They don't know how to implement the CLT in their class. And some teachers also express that they feel lack of English proficiency. They also lack of confidence to instruct their class in pure English. And third is policy-related challenges. Teachers complain that there are too many students in their classroom, which is not possible to fulfill all the students' needs. And the textbook is inappropriate. The facilities are inappropriate. There are always the table and desk are always organized line by line. And they also mentioned that there is always a lack of in-service trainings. They don't know how to use CLT. So we can find many teachers, they still prefer to use explicit grammar teachings in their class. And then because of the accuracy-oriented exam, and this is the main reason, and the facilities and the desks are also inconvenient for teachers to organize group activities. And the Chinese Confucius culture is another important reason why teachers don't like to use CLT in their classroom. And the textbook, the teacher complained about that, and they need to add a lot of authentic materials in their textbook, which is a waste of time. And become the conclusion and recommendation. The current study investigates the perceptions of the Chinese business English teachers regarding the CLT. We found that all the teachers, they expressed the positive perceptions. However, they also encountered multiple challenges. So we have 4 suggestions for these teachers. First, the colleges can provide more in-service trainings regarding the CLT, and then more authentic content should be incorporated in the textbooks. And also, we have to downsize the class size, and we need to put more movable desks in the classroom, and also the exam system has to be changed. There are 2 limitations of the current study. First is the sample size. The current study only select 9 participants from single college, and the second limitation is data collection method. The data were only collected through the interview, semi-structured interview. So in the future research can enlarge the sample size. We can select more samples from both the private and public universities, and also the researcher can use observation to observe what are their instructional practice of the teachers. And the last is the future research can.
There are 2 limitations of the current study. First is the sample size. The current study only select 9 participants from single college, and the second limitation is data collection method. The data were only collected through the interview, semi-structured interview. So in the future research can enlarge the sample size. They can select more samples from both the private and public universities, and also the researcher can use observation to observe what are their instructional practice of the teachers. And the last is the future research can investigate the students' perceptions to see whether the students' perception regarding the communicative language teaching are inconsistent with their teachers. Yeah, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen Haowei and Ms. Wu Chui. Okay, any question from the floor?
Hello, do you think CLT is suitable to be used in China?
Okay, personally, I advocate for CLT, but I think it's not suitable to use CLT in China right now because, like I mentioned before, the exam system is so accuracy-oriented and grammar-oriented. And another important reason is that the cultural difference between the Western and China. A lot of Chinese people, they are introverts. They don't like to, especially for the student, they don't like to speak, to express themselves in English, especially in the class. So I think it still need time for the Chinese teachers and students to get used to the CLT. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, I'd like to ask some clarification regarding the topic. That means Chinese teachers' perception. That means your focus on perception of the Chinese. Chinese mean not Chinese talking. They mean the Chinese teachers on their perceptions, right? So that means your sample is
only
the teachers, right? The teachers, right? And on their perceptions. But under your finding, that means it says that lack of knowledge and skill among the teachers,
yes,
and lack of English proficiency.
Yeah.
So that means, is that one of the factors that will influence the finding or the result? Because the teacher himself, they themselves lack of English proficiency. So how to teach their students?
Yeah.
So that's I'm not clear about this.
Okay, so this is why some teachers in their actual instructions, they don't use CLT actually because they don't know how to use it. And because using CLT, you have to conduct your class in English, the whole class, throughout the whole class. Because of their lack of English proficiency, this is another reason why they don't use it or they don't like to use it. I don't know how to use that. I'm not supposed to use CLT. My English is not that good to use CLT.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all for now for me. Okay, I think we can proceed because I think we're running short of time, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Okay. All right. So next, I would like to welcome Ms. Noor Fatiha, much honor, to present her paper. The title of the paper is Heritage Conservation, Documentation of Rumah Tok Gajah, Kuala Berang, Terengganu. So that's the name of the house. Actually, Rumah Tok Gajah is the heritage outlet, old house in Terengganu. Okay, please.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone. My name is Nur Fatia binti Maswad, and then today I will be presenting about heritage conversation. Basically, I'm from architecture school, so this one is a documentation of Rumah Tok Gajah, which is located at Kuala Berang, Terengganu, Malaysia. Presentation outline, today I will be presenting about objective, importance of conservation for architecture school, introduction of my case study, Rumah Tok Gajah, and what we did for documentation approach, and then methodology, finding, and then what challenges that we faced throughout the process of documentation. So research objective basically to identify the Malay architecture heritage, because I'm from architecture school, and then what's the importance of keeping the heritage, especially for traditional houses in Malaysia. So the importance of conservation, if you can see from here, taken from Heritage Act 2005. Heritage can be tangible and intangible factors or elements such as artifact, structure, performance, music. From this, for example, let's say what we see today this morning is a music performance, which is actually falls under national heritage. So for this one, I will be focusing on the structure, which is a building of the house. Basically, the case study Rumah Tok Gajah is located in Kuala Terengganu, one of state in Malaysia. And then why, for example, let's say this house is chosen because it's over than 150 years old of house. And then actually this house is relocated back into the Kuala Terengganu, means the owner actually buy the house and then relocated into one compound of the house, which is consists of 15 traditional houses. So basically my research consists of few houses in this compound, but I'm going to select only one for today. And then if you can see here, traditional Malay houses or traditional Malay houses, maybe for example let's say in Bali, actually represent the culture belief of maintain harmony between people, nature, and also the spirit. So we believe, for example, let's say every houses got the spirit, and why, for example, let's say they are being built by the owners. So if you can see here, the characteristic and documentation that we focusing on Rumah Tok Gajah is basically on tangible, which is more on what we can see rather than intangible. For example, let's say cultural performance that is hardly to understand sometimes. So I will be focusing on tangible and also documentation, how, for example, let's say the process of documenting the physical things for these architecture houses. So some of the characteristic that I identify today is consists of spaces, carvings. So we're going to show how, for example, let's say we documented the carvings, and then some of the aesthetic elements, and also some of the component, which is door and windows. So basically the architecture measure drawing is already draft, for example, into few phases by previous researcher and also those who documented heritage buildings. So for this research, I divided the phase into four. Phase one, which is the selection of the site. For example, let's say I'm saying today why, for example, let's say we choose this house. And then phase two, of course, we need to go for land survey, and then we do some pre-measured drawings. And then phase three is more about methodology, which we focusing on measure at the site. And then we also have observation, for example, let's say comparative study between one house and another few houses. And also we have the interview with the owner, which relocate back the house into this compound. And also the phase 3, which is comprised of data documentation, for example, let's say site survey, contour report, in case, for example, let's say the difference of placement from the original place, and then checking on background and history. And then lastly is about drafting buildings drawing, which is you can see under the findings there, the documentation of digital, manual sketches at site, and also we transfer into digital drawings with using architecture software, which is AutoCAD, and also 3D modelings. And also we comprise, for example, let's say all the drawings into the laser cut for exhibition and also archive purpose. So for the finding, for example, let's say just now I said we consist of 4 spaces, carvings, aesthetic and also door and window carving. So if you see here, for example, let's say it's the drawings actually from during our site measure, and then what's the existing. So if you can see, sometimes when we do the measure drawing, we encounter, for example, let's say we kind of reach certain space, and then how the carving is very complex to be transferred or redo back, for example, let's say in a short time. And then why, for example, let's say carving, we can see here the complexity is very high, and then some of the elements that have in this Rumah Tok Gajah, they have like very different elements, which is we carve one by one. So the whole house actually got a lot of, for example, let's say carvings, Al-Quran verse and etc. that we need to transfer. The reason why, because for example, let's say in future, in case this house is collapsed or burn, and then we have the data that we can rebuild this house in the future. So some of the characteristics that we identify also, for example, let's say characteristic elements which have on the windows, ventilation panels, balustrade, and also some of the joineries also we documented in detail. Firstly, of course, we're going to do on-site sketch, which, for example, let's say we need to understand how, for example, let's say the joineries between the columns, between the beams, and also all the elements. And then carvings one by one, and then how the traditional joineries work. Even, for example, let's say after restoration also, we need to make sure the construction is always the same with the original state of the house. And for example, let's say if you can see door and window there, actually we have a lot of the data about the carvings, door and window. But I just put here, for example, let's say how we finalize, for example, let's say documentation is through laser cut. The reason why, of course, for example, let's say if we do the scale one by one, it's going to be big. So we transfer it to the smaller scale, and then we keep archive into our gallery, I would say it's store, conservation store. And then if you can see here, there are few, of course, when we do heritage, a lot of challenges and limitations. So I divide it into 3. Research, because whenever, for example, let's say we found old houses, of course, there's no exact drawings, because basically, when, for example, let's say the owner built the house, of course, is through belief and is through ritual. And then we don't have like very limited documentation about the originality of the house, what's the reason, and etc. And then number 2, no evidence of existing drawings, means the house is being built because of certain phase or certain reason or belief. And then under the methodology, of course, limited exploration of new technology, because if you can see here, our methodology is using conventional, which is we are not using, for example, let's say photo scanner and etc., which is more high technology being used right now. And then some of in-access element, for example, let's say roof structure. But how, for example, let's say we got the data is through comparative study between traditional Malay house, which reflect Rumah Terengganu and also these houses. And also for production also, if you can see just now, how, for example, let's say complex of carvings, complex of decoration of the traditional houses. So some of these challenges actually limited and it give a challenges towards this kind of research. So the reflection from this finding, of course, for example, let's say even we are a young generation right now, we need to focus on keeping the heritage. It's not focusing only for the old generation to keep their heritage. We need, as a young people also, keeping the heritage is our task also. And then if you see here also, some of issue, even for example, let's say we are facing the problem and challenges, there's always a way how to overcome this one. To produce, for example, let's say documentation, to produce the data for the heritage buildings. And then for the conclusion, I will say here, for the conclusion, I will say here, this study actually is a supplementary for the heritage study in Malaysia, especially for traditional houses or traditional buildings. Even though this one is not comprised, for example, let's say 100% accurate, at least the owner is grateful that we are the one who actually preserve the nature, this kind of heritage in Malaysia. And if you see here, it's not only, for example, let's say give a contribution, for example, let's say to conserver or anybody who conserve the building, but actually give a cultural asset into, for example, let's say Malaysia, that we have this kind of national heritage that we can keep. So if you see here, that one is our outcome for the measured drawing of the building. We actually explode, for example, let's say the roof structure, the floor, and then all the structure, and even, for example, let's say if we go detailing into the carvings, we can do, for example, let's say checking one by one, for example, let's say the carvings into the wall, which is we call as papan janda berhias, and then some of the balustrade, and then we can see in detail how, for example, let's say we document it until we get the whole building like this. So I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Nur Fatihah, for interesting and informative review. Okay. So, especially because I'm from architecture background as well. But anyway, I open the question to the floor. Anybody like to ask more? Is this a traditional house? Huh?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone? No? Okay, maybe I'd like to ask one question. Okay. What is the function of the house now?
Currently, the house is relocated into compound for resort, and then the owner actually give for the public to experience the houses. So it's like homestay right now.
Still,
yes.
As well as a house, right?
Yes, it's still a house.
Oh, okay, the next question that follows, because it's been relocated to a new site.
Yes.
So does heritage still qualified, called as or labeled as heritage?
All right. That one I'm not really sure, because, for example, let's say the original thing already being located. But when, for example, let's say we ask the owner, when they are relocated back, everything is remain the same, still remaining the same. So under, for example, let's say qualification under national heritage, I'm not sure about that one.
Okay, actually, heritage building is a wonderful building whereby they use natural ventilation, cross ventilation, natural lighting, right? So the present usage now, does they include air conditioning, for example?
No, currently is maintained like that. Yeah.
Oh, so that's good. And they will try to retain the heritage level. Right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we move on. Thank you. Okay, next I would like to welcome Miss TSCP Azira Abdurrahim. All right. The title of her paper is Architectural Evolution of Heritage Masjid or Mosque in Negeri Sembilan. Sustainable Cities and Communities. So that's the theme, Sustainable Cities and Communities. The stage is yours.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to all, and also the chairperson. My name is Siti Azira Abdurrahim. I'm from International University, and here with me my co-author, which is Ms. Fatihah from UCSI University, and Ms. Atika from City University, and also our international collaborators, which is Mr. Sarur Rahman. Okay, today I will be presenting our research on architectural evolution of Heritage Masjid in Negeri Sembilan towards sustainable cities and communities. So this is the presentation outline. Okay, this study highlights the explorations of the originality and architecture evolutions of Negeri Sembilan Heritage Masjid while promoting the sustainable development. So it will discuss on how the layout, okay, the structure, and as well as the roof shape of the heritage building that change over time, which affect the architectural value and the design of the heritage masjid itself. So the study also aims to present the original, the extended layout, and also the current architecture evolution of heritage masjid in Negeri Sembilan, Malaysia. Okay, So the research aims is to examine the physical condition of the Masjid Jami' Tanah Datar, which is in Rembau, Negeri Sembilan, Malaysia, and also its architecture evolutions of the masjid while promoting the sustainable growth. So the objective will be determine the current condition of that masjid, and then to identify the original and also the extended design of the layout, and as well as to investigate the architecture evolutions of the Masjid Jami' Tanah Datar. So the uniqueness of this masjid, which is Masjid Jami' Tanah Datar, is actually symbolized the practice of adat pepatih, in Negeri Sembilan. So we know that specifically in Negeri Sembilan, Malaysia, they have the customs of adat pepatih itself. And then the design represents the various meanings that often associated with the identity of adat pepatih. And then it also linked with the design forms such as the orientation, the spatial layout, the floor components, the structure, as well as the decoration and ornamentations, which is reflected in the Negeri Sembilan traditional house itself. And then most of the masjid in Negeri Sembilan, they have these unique features of bumbung panjang in their mihrab, and then they have this special characteristic of, they call it buah buton or tiang bergantung, which is they have the column on top of the roof. And then it represents and symbolizes the Tawhid and also the Rukun Islam. Most of the masjid in Negeri Sembilan, they have constructed using tameng roof, which is tanggam, we call it tanggam. For example, it's tanggam lubang and tanggam lubang and puting, tanggam lekap T, and also lekap palang. So that's the most significant elements in Negeri Sembilan Heritage Masjid. And also the basic characteristic of that masjid consists of ornamentation, the kolah itself, wudu area, just the concrete and wooden traditional staircase, and also the tiang seri, which is the main column of the buildings. Okay, so this masjid have a few characteristics, few elements, which is the serambi. The serambi, they have the serambi kanan, also serambi kiri, which is the right side of the serambi is for male. It's a bit on the ground, and then the left side is the serambi for female, which is a bit lift up. And then the tiang seri, which is the four main columns. And sometimes they have this, few of the buildings in Negeri Sembilan, they have the carving element, which is the ornamentation, and some of the good elements, the great elements of this tiang seri, normally they are carving by the leader of the tribe, of the Negeri Sembilan. And then next is the mimbar itself, the mihrab, perigi, and also decoration. Previous the old versions of the buildings, actually they have a two-tier roof. And then one, it's the times it's changed, have with the additional domes and also the extension of the prayer hall. The method using qualitative data, which is we're using on-site observation, and also the secondary data of the document review. And then this Masjid Tanah Datar actually built in 1905, which is more than 100 years. I'm doing some research on this all heritage masjid in Negeri Sembilan. There's actually more than 34 heritage masjid is more than 100 years. So it's actually a lot in Negeri Sembilan. But some of them is abandoned, few of them is abandoned and just left dilapidated. But a few of them, they take care of the original elements and then they extend. That's called where it's the building evolved. So this Masjid Tanah Datar is actually under the conditions of having architecture evolution. So previously it's from the vernacular style, but now it's going to from wooden to concrete, right? And then it's going to modern era. So the design elements is almost the same of all masjid. They have merah, perigi, which is a wood area, praying area, the tiang seri itself, the minaret. Previously, they don't have minaret. Most of the masjid in Negeri Sembilan don't have minaret. But currently now, when they are improving and they think that they need the minaret, they have put additional elements of the minaret itself. Yeah, pitch roof, the roof crown, which is we call it mustaka. The roof crown is quite important and elements in the heritage masjid itself, and also ornamentation. So first build this masjid is having a minimal design of square shape, and then they have additional small mihrab. But over time they change the material from wood and using atap rumbia. But now it's having concrete, and some of the wooden is actually have deleted and changing. Currently, it's have been transformed into the postmodern era design. Okay, the origin of the building form and layout of heritage masjid, Masjid Jami Tadata can still be seen today. However, the character changed over time, and the preference of community towards a modern era and technology of concrete have developed into language of the design. So this is the red color is the original masjid, and then they extended to the green color, which is right side of the masjid, and extended to concrete and modern design. So this is the pictures of the buildings. As a conclusion, there is a strong link between social and design influence on the construction through the traditional design principles, which is this masjid originally it's to cater a small community, but when the population grow, so they actually require a bigger masjid. That's the most reason why some of the building, it depends on the community itself. If they have the awareness on how to preserve the masjid, a few of them extend the buildings and evolve the building itself. But some of the cases, they just left and left it abandoned. Even it's next to the masjid, the new masjid itself, they just left it abandoned without trying to having opportunities to create a new function of that building itself. Okay, and overall the evidence encourage future research into joining the these heritage buildings specifically, and then the originality of the buildings component must be preserved and maintained yearly, and also authorities also need and communities need to take evolve to preserve the heritage building itself. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. T.S. Siti Azira. Any question from the floor? No? Okay, if not, I will do the question.
Sure.
Okay, I know your title is on architectural evolution of heritage masjid. That means you pick heritage, right? And then there's a sustainable cities and communities. How it relate, sustainable cities and communities, right? So the thing is, when you show me, okay, this planning, for example, from a square building to a proportion. Actually, square is not really for masjid design, but it's okay because it's a heritage building. But the thing, how it being expand, what's consideration? Maybe the side, because the side you have the left on the right, for example, so you just develop that one. But what I want to know is the limitation of your expansion and adaptation in terms of percentage to ensure the heritage qualification. Because once you break away, maybe there is no more qualified to call heritage, for example. Alright? Of course, the need of to expand because more people, we need more space, for example. Especially nowadays because the Muslim, the female, want to pray also, so we have to allocate for the space for that. Alright? So that means the adaptation, the expansion, for example, is there any limitation of percentage, how much you can develop, for example? And another question is talking about this in terms of the same question about the previous presenter, talking about the technology advancement. I'm sure the new masjid, for example, the aircon, for example, just to give comfort for the players, right? So how he adapt in terms of incorporating all the technologies or the equipment in order, but the heritage being kept steady, for example. So can you elaborate more on that?
All right, thank you for the question. The first part is sorry again. You asked the first part is.
No, the first thing is there's any control or not?
Oh, okay. All right. For now, as I'm having a research in Negeri Sembilan area, there's the buildings is only under control by JAIS, which is Jabatan Hak Ehwal Agama Islam. But they didn't take control on that. Because they don't have like self-awareness itself on to conserve this heritage building. It depends on the community itself actually. When the community asks them to preserve the buildings and also extended the building, they will do. Like in Seremban, most of the masjid is actually preserve the originality, even it's 200 years, there's more than 200 years, but they extend. But the extension, they don't have any control how big it is. But in Malacca,
Read more on that.
okay. All right, thank you for the question. The first part is sorry again. You asked the first part is.
No, the first thing is there's any control.
Oh, okay. All right. For now, as I'm having a research in Negeri Sembilan area, there's the buildings is only under control by JAIS, which is Jabatan Hak Ehwal Agama Islam. But they didn't take control on that. Because they don't have like self-awareness itself on to conserve this heritage building. It depends on the community itself actually. When the community asks them to preserve the buildings and also extended the building, they will do. Like in Seremban, most of the masjid is actually preserve the originality, even it's 200 years, there's more than 200 years, but they extend. But the extension, they don't have any control how big it is. But in Malacca, under Perzim, they have under which is under unit conservation, they have the guideline. But other state not yet. So that's why I try to see how the Negeri Sembilan behave. But there is no control itself by. But specific for this masjid, the extended in front because previously they used this area, the old masjid, for women only. But now, because of the structure of the buildings is timber, right? So a few of the columns actually dilapidated and a bit the structure is not good enough. So now it's quite abandoned. So they move in front of everything because the position Qibla is facing that way. That's why
Okay, what I can summarize, that means your paper is more on the study of the architectural evolution of the heritage masjid, which will be assigned to you, but you don't touch on how they want to keep the heritage quality.
Yeah, but that's my another research on how the guidelines. So that's why, in order for us to have these sustainable cities and communities, actually the communities itself actually try to need to have a self-awareness. So that this building and all the architecture value they can.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fatia. All right, I think we are on time. Maybe 1 minute. Late 21 can cover the 4 minutes, the 2 minutes deficit. Okay, now I would like to welcome. What is this? I'm not sure. ARC mean Emmanuel Moses Aliko. Okay. I'm sorry, but I cannot pronounce. ARC means is it architect?
Yep.
Oh, all right. Okay. So architect Emmanuel Moses Aliko to present his paper entitled "Assessment of Housing Quality and Infectious Disease Outbreak in Nigeria." Okay. Please welcome Architect Emmanuel.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Emmanuel and I'll be having a co-presenter in the person of Associate Professor Dr. Oluwafemi Kehinde Akande. Also online as co-author is Dr. Ibayemi Daniel Akiremani and Daniela Addition. I'll be presenting a paper on assessment of housing quality and infectious disease outbreak in Nigeria. Nigeria is plagued with high endemic rate of infectious diseases unintentionally caused by poor housing quality. This research will be investigating housing quality and its associated health risks in Nigeria. According to World Health Organization, healthy housing promotes both physical, mental, and social well-being of people, while healthy housing is known for poor housing conditions, exposure to environmental hazards, risk factors such as respiratory, cardiometabolic, mental health problems, and reduced life expectancy. Still according to World Health Organization 20. According to Devlon, Nigerian population will shoot by 58 million between 2018 and 2030, which will leave the country with a deficit of 17 million houses. This is as a result of low construction of quality housing. The last time the government actually attempted to do something like that was during the Shagari time between 1979 and 1983. And since then, no government actually have done any quality housing for people. So that leaves the populace with the only option to get houses for themselves. And most of these houses are not usually followed by development control rules. So they build them as they like. Probably you are supposed to use 40% of your land area, but because there is no policy guiding it, some people use 90% of their land areas and causing more hazard for other people. What is the problem? These problems are caused by some housing types that they are so close to each other. The ventilation is a problem. Things are generated from one houses and it flows into the other houses because of the close proximity. A lot of people moved from, because they could not afford houses in the city center, they go to the slums or the favelas and they build all these houses that causes a lot of genetic issues. So low quality residences leads to a high health risk factors that cause health problems in children. The study will definitely ascertain the fact that it has been proven that more than or close to 50% of the children mortality rate is caused by unhealthy houses in Nigeria, which will definitely lead to extinction of human race. The aim of the project is to investigate housing quality and its associated health risks in Nigeria. And to do that, we have to establish a resident-centered quality of life through quality housing provisions in Nigeria. And the question here is, what factors within the residential indoor environment influence and or promote incidents of health complaints and outbreak of infectious disease? To do that, we are going to use the conceptual framework for investigating housing quality, which will identify sources of outbreak of infectious diseases entering the building, which is split into two: the pollutants generated by the building and contaminants while in the building. The pollutants are building materials, the furnishing, the equipment, consumer products, occupants outside here, and soil and building operations, while the contaminants in the building react or interact with decay, attaches to surfaces that remains unchanged. That moves to the building occupant exhaling that out and getting into other occupants, and the building occupants on the pollutant inhaling the building elements that have been listed. This flows into building indoor environmental conditions. It affects the temperature, the relative humidity, and the carbon dioxide. And housing quality is expected to be functional, to be habitable, and to be sustainable. At this point, I will hand over to Dr. Oluwafemi Akonde to take us through research methodology. Dr. Femi, are you there?
Much, I hope. Yes, thank you very much for the presentation. I hope we can all hear me.
Loud and clear.
Yes, I hope you can all hear me. Yeah. So the research methodology is in a threefold method of collecting data to be able to achieve the objective of this particular research. First of all, we made use of an ear visual node monitoring device, which you can see on the screen. It is a smart equipment that can measure about 7 parameters within the indoor environment: the temperature, the relative humidity, and the particulate matter in form of PM 2.5 and PM 10. And then it can also measure the CO2 that is present within the building and other environmental parameters. So this helps us to be able to monitor the indoor environment for quite some time in the study location. And the study location is at Bauchi Metropolis in Nigeria, which has a population of over 421,000 persons, as at the figure given by National Population Commission in 2014. The number of survey distributed was 140, and we got 116 in total that responded to the study. The response rate was quite high, which is 86%, and we're able to back up this study because of the adequacy of the response rate, which makes this study an empirical one. Then we made use of a questionnaire to be able to, along with the air node monitoring devices, to be able to obtain responses from the occupants that are living in the houses. And specifically, we monitored about 116 houses with this equipment. And then the next slide shows, give us the results. Now, within the results, what we found out was that within the houses, let me start with the temperature. The temperature range that was measured within the houses was between 22 degrees centigrade to 40 degrees centigrade. We found that the majority of the houses recorded higher temperature than the AQoL international standard that is given for temperature for human comfort. We also found out that the relative humidity within the houses ranged from 29 to 82 degrees, but about half of the houses that were investigated met the threshold standard for international organization, AQoL international organization. Then we also use a WHO standard, as a benchmark for the PM 2.5 and PM 10, which you can see the results on the screen. And in most of the houses here, we found that, if you can see, the benchmark is the one that is colored as yellow and red. And then the graph there shows the readings within the houses. And obviously from the screen, you can see that the PM 2.5 and PM 10, they were quite higher within the houses that were investigated. And this shows that there's an elevated risk of health, acute, which can result to acute lower respiratory infection as a result of indoor particulate matter that is exposed, to the occupant. This shows that most of the houses there were not healthy for human living. Then we also looked at the air quality index, which we use the benchmark from Environmental Protection Agency, obtained from the United States standard. You can see that the red line there is the benchmark. And you can see just about 2 or 3 houses, were below the standard. All other readings were quite above the standard. This tells us that the air quality index too within the houses were very poor. When we looked at the carbon dioxide recorded for the houses, we found out that if you look at the standard is indicated in red color, but most of the houses, incidentally and surprisingly to us, even though they have low ventilation quality and low ventilation environment, the houses appeared to be adequate in terms of ventilation. Well, we could explain this, that most of the houses, because they are built, some of them are built around the courtyard systems, they open their windows in the day and in the night to be able to harness more ventilation. So invariably, the fresh air that comes in, from the courtyard and from the environment dilutes the hot air within the building. So it appears that the houses, they are properly ventilated. Okay. Okay, so I'm done with this explanation. So let's move to the next screen now.
Maybe you can conclude now.
Yes. Oh yes, let's go to conclusion because of the time.
This screen is not working. Excuse me.
Okay, so can I conclude from here?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so in conclusion, from the findings of our results and our study, we found out that the determinants of housing quality are houses that are designed to produce appropriate indoor environmental parameters. These houses, when they are designed to produce appropriate indoor environmental parameters, can enhance occupant health and well-being. We recommend that there should be a synergistic framework, which will include the architects and the government and the public health experts, bringing them together to bring about designing houses and providing healthy houses for the mass populace of Nigeria. The study has some limitations. One of the limitations, the key limitation, is that we have challenges of lack of continuous power supply in Nigeria. And the equipment is supposed to record for 24 hours, take reading for 24 hours. But because of that, we're able to take readings for close to 12 to 18 hours in some of the buildings. So this is one limitation, about the research. The future research should embrace a more holistic approach and should look at other buildings in other environments and in other settings. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much. Say thank you, Emmanuel. Okay, that's the last paper, but we haven't concluded our session yet. Any question from the floor? No? Oh, okay, if not, I just have.
I have a comment, or I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Akonde and cohorts, thanks for the question. Is there a way of balancing the measurement of particulate matter and that of the air exchange rate? Because the CO2 exchange rate is high, the particulate matter is higher. We are measuring both. We can really know the effect on the health in a clear way. I'm just thinking aloud now.
Yeah, that we can measure the airflow rate within the building. We can actually be able to determine, like I said, that incidentally it was surprising that the CO2 was was within the range. And I've explained the reason why that could be, because most people, because they build their houses around the courtyard, and so they leave their windows open and throughout the day and even sometimes in the night, and sometimes they leave their doors open because of the temperature within the building. So that allows some fresh air to be able to come in within the building, and they can enjoy some good ventilation. But in terms of the particulate matter, there are reasons why the particulate matters are high. Why? One reason is because in Nigeria, in most houses, they are built around unpaved road and on landscape environment that are not landscape. So when you have such environmental conditions, and they can easily raise a lot of dust, bring dust into the houses, and this will increase the particulate matter within the building, within a very short time.
Okay, thank you for your response. Actually, this is very, very important topic in terms of the quality. But maybe this paper need to address more in terms of how you relate with the disease. For example, what type of diseases that you are talking about, how you relate to. Of course,
Okay.
the quality
Yes.
of quality of air quality is very, very important. Right? But another thing, maybe I'm not sure whether your local authority have any control or have some guideline in order to for the houses being built, for example. Of course, if it's very, very close, no setback, and that means when you open the door, you can see your next neighbor, for example. So that's another thing, right? And then the spread of diseases, for example, is depend on the closeness of the houses, right? Right, and then so many other factors that can be included in your research. Maybe we can talk some other time. We can talk afterward or during dinner time. We can maybe the research can be more elaborate and more thorough in this case. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Emmanuel, and your co-author. Okay, sorry, we are running short of time. In fact, just now we managed to finish by 3:15, but then of the technical error just now. All right. Okay, before we adjourn for tea. Okay, I would like to congratulate all presenters with very, very interesting and relevant topics on its own, different topics or different kind of studies. And to all those who have participated in the Q&A, there's a few question and answer, that's good. Sometimes question and answer is very, very relevant, so that sometimes it contribute to the researchers, but sometimes it contribute to your understanding as well. All right. So give a lot of round of applause to all of you, okay, in this hall, and also those in the comfort of your own home. You lie down on your sofa, something like that, or your bed. Listening to all the 8 wonderful papers presentation. So I hope it benefits us all, and it broaden our knowledge in the whatever area of studies. Of course, your studies area will be different, but sometimes it's good to add up a new area. So good luck, everyone, and see you in the next breakout 3. Thank you.